Atamarie, kia ora, bonjour, hello, I'm Ian Tomkins, I'm a social worker and I'm practice leader at Family Works, and it's absolutely great to be here having a conversation about working with people from a refugee background and especially students.
Was the workshop helpful in gaining a better understanding of the refugee journey pre- and post-arrival?
So I went to the workshop that you provide, and was it helpful? It was really helpful. I really enjoyed it because it gave me a much better understanding of the refugee journey. I really enjoyed the way that the workshop broke down the journey around their experience from different countries and in a refugee camp and coming into New Zealand, the wait, being selected, what it was like to come into New Zealand and it all to be strange, and what the process is around the situation in Māngere and the services in Māngere.
How has the workshop changed the work you do with refugee background students and their families?
Now I should say that I don't often work directly with students from a refugee background, but I do work and support a lot with practitioners who do. So one of the things I did was to look at the workshops that we run around working with family violence and child protection and strengths-based approach to practice and trauma-informed approach to practice, and basically incorporate some of the insights and new awarenesses and knowledge from the workshop that you guys have provided into our workshops to make sure that we were providing that information, equipping and upskilling our social workers in schools and our counsellors for when they work with students from a refugee background. So that was really cool. We really enjoyed doing that. Obviously it wasn't a one-off. We asked for feedback and we checked in that we were on the right path, and we made sure that our workshops were relevant. So for example, in terms of Māori, we look at the impact of trauma in relation to colonisation, impact of colonisation. We look for work with Pacifica children and families. We look at the impact of, say, for example, the Dawn raids. And so for people from a refugee background and for students, we look at what the impact has been of that process coming into New Zealand. Going into a school, it's all new. There might be language issues, there might be making friends issues, and obviously there's grieving and loss processes and journeys that they're going through. So it really, not as a one-off, but over time we developed and incorporated the issues and challenges for students from a refugee background into our own workshops. So our counsellors and social workers in schools who work with students are better able to do that mahi.
How have you been able to use trauma-informed approaches in your work?
So in terms of a trauma-informed approach, yeah, it's something that's very relevant for us. We're becoming increasingly trauma-informed for all the people we work with. And what the workshop that you provided did was just give us that boost and that lift and that knowledge and that foundational information to ensure that we were covering all aspects of diversity and inclusion, and we could provide services for everybody, including students from a refugee background. So that was really great, and it was such a privilege to go to the workshop, to discuss afterwards, to discuss with people at the workshop what their work was, share information and bring it back and disseminate it.
Would you recommend the workshop to others?
So I'd really recommend the workshop to others because it does equip people with knowledge, with resources, and it upskills. And that's really important for us. To make sure that in New Zealand we have practitioners who can work safely and effectively with students from a refugee background. So thank you.